I guess that's why my legs hurt. I wonder if I'd be able to run home again. Hmm? I like the cut of your jib. Hello. How are you guys doing? I know, it's not my usual streaming hours, but I have a very good excuse. I was hanging out with a friend. I was watching Fiona and Cake. The most valid excuse there is. An absolutely 10 out of 10 banger of a show. Great extension to the Adventure Time universe. And asks some very troubling questions. So I'm very glad I got to do a rewatch of it. It's very nice, very fun. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, especially if you love Adventure Time stuff. I would say obviously watch Adventure Time stuff first. Like, you're not gonna get half the stuff that they're talking about if you don't watch the original stuff, the original source material. But even on its own, I feel like it's really great. But if you've watched the previous series, the Adventure Time series, it becomes like a nice little puzzle game of who's who. Cause like I guess they jumped onto the whole multiverse fad that's been going on or was going on at the time. But they do it nice. They do it great. They make it so that the worlds are, divided enough that they're their own thing. Which is honestly the only way to do a proper multiverse thing without it becoming messy, annoying, and I guess kind of plot escapey. Like, I don't think Marvel could ever get me to fear or be upset over the death of a character. Because, they're just gonna bring back another one in the multiverse. Like, what's the point of killing Superman if I can just go to Supermart and pick out Superman but with like spiky anime hair? Or Superman, he's the exact same as the one that we lost, except this one is right-handed. So he punches harder with his right hand. Or this one wears transition lens in his glasses when he's doing his Clark Kent persona, his Clark Kent cosplay. There's a channel, Overly Simplified, that they go through a lot of TV show, movie show plot tropes. Highly recommend. They had one on multiverses, and they really do a good job of breaking apart tropes. If you're somebody who's into writing a lot, I highly recommend them. I don't do it for writing. I just like being able to spot tropes and analyze things way too deeply. If you can't tell by my video on anime intros and outros, breaking apart media is a fun hobby. It's a great think experiment, Gives you that chance to flex that brain. So for the docket today, I was gonna go to YouTube. We're gonna watch a video. I did like a couple of days ago. The Annie News. He does a series on skipped content for different animes that had light novel variations, or he goes through it. He'll go through an episode, align it with the chapter from the manga or manhwa if they have one, and the light novel, and then just go through what the anime gets on point or does differently. And it's very, if you're into a media and you just want to consume as much of it as you can, highly recommend. It's what got me into reading the oh my god, what's the name? Reincarnated guy, really scummy, Rudius Grey Rat. Jobless Reincarnation, that's the guy. It got me into reading the Jobless Reincarnation manga or light novel, which I really need to start back, honestly. Like, some bad stuff happened in there and I had to take like a mental break. I had to like step away from it because I used to read it like every day before work. like on my way to work. But then things went sideways. And what's worse is I didn't stop when things went sideways. I stopped after we sorted things out, after they went sideways. So things went sideways and we put them back up on the shelf. And then I was just like, damn, that's, I'm just gonna step away for like a hot, cool minute. I'll be right back. This seems like a great break off and go get some water moment. And I've been getting water ever since. It's been months. I keep telling myself I should go back and continue to see where Rudius ends up. But goddamn, every time I touch it, I'm just like, you've unlocked that box of, I can hurt you. Like a relationship, they showed me that, I'm not safe in this relationship, and I've been too scared to go back. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm a fragile man. You hurt me, I bleed. You say mean things, I cry. I'm very mistrusting. It's been a good week. It's been a very, very fun week. Got to hang out with a bunch of people I haven't seen in a minute. Got like a small scare from a friend of mine who I haven't seen in a long minute. But then they turned out to be okay. So we're okay. Oh, I also have some cake for my friend's birthday that I'm gonna probably enjoy after I'm finished with this stream. But after you watch YouTube stuff, it's just gonna be some monster hunting, I was gonna do another study hall stream, but I didn't expect to come home so late. Like I said, it was very impromptu. Like we went around to some stores because they're very artsy, and I kind of use this as an excuse to hang out with them. And we went to like some supply stores to see how I can best elevate the wings. We got some good ideas. I took some pictures. So one of the next streams I'm gonna do is it's gonna be a lot more clerical, It's gonna be sitting down and writing in a document, snapping inspirations online, finding Amazon links to stuff, and seeing how best we can, for the lowest cost, upgrade these wings. I took the advice of Numb Little Bug, and I want to ask my brother to teach me how to solder. So instead of using tape to bind the joints on the wings, I'm just gonna solder them together so that they have more of like a uniform color to them. Because while one of the wings is great, while the wings are both still great, did I use green wing on the other? Yeah, I did. I just didn't use as much. While both of them are really great, the black veins with just wings very obviously at the joint, it just don't look good. So we're in store for another. Well, I might just do those off camera. I don't know. I guess I might do a poll on Instagram and see. But for the most part, I'm gonna do those, or redo that one off camera, and then when I'm designing the female wings, and I've settled on like a design pattern and a color scheme, because I want both of us to have different color schemes. I don't know if I want to have it be done like an elemental thing, or well, I guess this kind of has to be elementals since fairies. But no, well, can there be non? Well, I'm not saying they're elemental. Honestly, I think I'm just going off of Tinkerbell logic, where every fairy has their own kind of niche thing that they're the guardian of. But that being said, that's a pretty good example, actually. That's like a decent. And I kept seeing this a lot when I was researching like how to make wings in general. Apparently, well, no, these got some bitch basic ass wings. What the fuck? Yeah, apparently some wing styles are like trademarked, which is dumb. Which is absolutely stupid. Why Why did I think these girls' wings were? I guess I can jump into it a bit early. But why did I think that these wings were colored? Like for all the fairies. They all just have the same. Well, I guess it's like a slight hue. But I thought there was like a sharp distinction between their wings instead of just shape. It's like this, but even then it's still the same color. They're all just glittery, glowy. That's a waste. That is a waste by Tinkerbell designer standards. You could have done so much more with these wings. Fuck, I think Barbie has better design. Well, I don't know. Barbie. Wings and things. God, this. Yeah, yep, Barbie has better designed, more beautiful wings. But I'd be damned if I use Barbie as an example. It's the bane of my goddamn existence, especially from this stupid movie. The bane of my fucking existence. Barbie: A Fairy Secret. I was forced to watch it by a friend because, of course, I'm a slave to the people around me. And I was unusually upset at the concept of Wings and Things, which is a store within Los Angeles, fucking Los Angeles, where they just put wings on anything. So you'll see people flying around and they have cups that they bought from like fast food joints that have wings on them. I don't know if the wings were done by the fast food joints or if they got the cups and then went to Wings and Things, because I'm not saying it's not something we wouldn't do if it wasn't possible. I very much see somebody with their Stanley Cup attaching like wings to it so it can fly and follow them around. It's like a status thing, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't know if Wings and Things is specifically just for other fairies, because like what here, okay, God, I'm gonna go on a tangent, but here's why I don't like it, because it implies that fairy wings aren't naturally occurring, like you're not born with them. Maybe it's a situation where you can get prosthetic wings, you know, like somebody loses a foot, we give them a prosthetic foot. Somebody loses their wings, you're able to go to Wings and Things and it'll get you a new pair of wings. But the fact that they're like a retail store implies that they get business a lot. So it's either A, fairies don't have their wings when they're born, they're just kind of regular ass people until you get old enough to get wings. Maybe you get wings on birth. They go to like the baby aisles of Wings and Things. They give you little baby wings and you just keep changing them out as you grow older. Or fairies are mutilating themselves, ripping off the wings that they were born with just because they feel like the other wings are a little bit cuter. And I don't know which one I prefer. I don't know which one I want, but I know that every single option irritates me endlessly. Like, look at this. Look at this. Why do you need wings on your shades? What is the point? What is the actual point? But they do have some interesting designs, but not designs I'm going to be using. Like, fuck am I going to let Mattel sue me out the wazoo? I know this is literally not what I said we were going to be doing, and I've already completely gone off rail, but forgive me. I'm probably undiagnosed with something. I'm on some kind of mental spectrum. Oh. Don't mind if I do. Still haven't figured out how I'm gonna harness up the wings though. Like, we discussed doing wing harnesses, but came to the conclusion that anything short of possible leather work is either gonna be like a corset Like make a simple U-frame and then just have a corset. Wrap the U-frame in like green wiring so my photographer can just easily edit it out. But if I did like do something leatherwork, like something like this, I'd want it to be interchangeable so I could like pop it out and then put in another wing if I wanted to change wings. I don't see myself doing wings, but just, you know, you never know. And like I'm not opposed to doing or learning how to do leather work. That's just more that's more content. I assume it's because I said the word harness, but a lot of these just look kind of BDSM-y. You know what I mean? Do you know mean? Are these specifically for wings? Wow. But it's not that discreet. It's not very discreet. I guess it's like a matter of color. Or is this for like a sports thing? Oh, is it like one of those parasail paragliding things? Oh. Yes, it is. That makes sense. Makes sense that it'd be called wings. But this from the back? Can I see this from the back? I need something seamless. Okay. Cosplay wing harness. Cosplay Fairy Bee wing harness. But this seems like it's just gonna be
having it tied under here. Keep the wings from getting all discombobulated. Alrighty. Let's see if this works. I can do it gracefully enough. This is this is an alternate attachment for the brace.
Well, maybe not leatherwork, maybe just
One end of your ribbon here.
yeah, ribbons. Cause if I can get the
Other
printout
end.
for this,
Goes
I can have my brother 3D print it.
through that slit there, out the side,
A ribbon is simple enough to get,
and
and then it allows me to adjust it lengthwise and drop it down as low as I can, or as low as I need to.
by myself.
have decided that I want to do the dyes that she has. So I might have to, those I might have to get online. We went from store to store. Man, Jamaica don't have like a good amount of. Maybe I'm not gonna say Jamaica doesn't have it. I'm gonna say we couldn't find from where we went a good color, like oil color place, or decent oil color place. But it's been a while since we've gone on like an art crawl.
The wings from getting all discombobulated.
Fancy fairy wings and things. It's like she's taunting me. But I want to do something like this. But all I got is baby wireframes, man. I gotta live with the wireframes, man. What do you have? Black Lives Matter and trans right protests, wings, auctions, and donations. That's crazy. So sorry. That's crazy. I see how we give you like smoother things than just cutting it off. I see the smoother finish. So she makes like the outside. So she has the frame, and there's like an aligning on the outside that's doing the harness connection. So just like a little frame. She frames the frame. I never thought of doing that. It's genius. Why you've been doing this for multiple years.
Fairy wings. And now you should have a finished set of iridescent fairy wings. Last but not least, you'll want to pose them a little bit and conform the brace to the shape of your back. I like to usually curve it inward a little bit, this way, and also curve the vertical parts inward, and shape the panels by holding your hand flat, making sure that you are holding on to the wires, and bend slightly backwards.
My toxic
This
trait
gives
is
the
thinking
wings
that the one that's on her back, I could do this
a little
easily.
more life
Wouldn't be
and
that hard.
character. So it looks like you're about to take off instead
I
of
want to do
just
the leather
a
straps.
straight flat set of wings.
I really kind of want to do the leather straps now.
You can use it by slipping it into a corset, just like this.
Yeah, I'm
Or
definitely
you
gonna have to
can
do the
tie
corset route.
ribbon or elastic onto the upper and lower corners of the brace. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, all the other usual spots. And I've also included links to all of the products that you would need to complete this project. Thank you and happy fluttering.
Yeah. So we got steps. Mach 1 was a great success, resounding success. Especially for the first time doing something like this. No, well, obviously improvements, you know, that if there was no need for any improvements, there wouldn't be a Mach 2. So we're gonna make improvements. But still, I'm very, very, very happy with how it came out. But yeah, let's get into this.
So here we are on the last episode of Cut Content for Season 2, and what we have is quite a lot. Even if you set aside the scenes with America, which will no doubt be in Season 3, the full aftermath of the Jeju Island raid was pretty extensive. From Sung being treated like Superman to an emotional meeting with Min's mom, the whole arc is brought to a close rather nicely. So, if you want to know Korea's full reaction to what's essentially Sung's debut, then stick around because it's actually pretty interesting. Since this is the last episode though, I just want to say thanks again for all the support this season, and if you do plan on sticking around, there'll be plenty of content for ReZero, Danmachi, and Overlord next. If that's not your cup of tea though, then I guess I'll see you again when Season 3 comes around. But anyway, let's start things off the moment Sung finished up his business at Jeju Island.
Absolute
This is where the
maximum
novel
aura
gives
farming.
us a whole lot more, since he would fly Kaisel back to Korea, then land his dragon right on the doorsteps of the Hunter Association. It was a spectacle that brought many of the Monitoring Division hunters outside ready for a fight.
Man, it
was
must have been
when they
so
saw it
satisfying not
belonged
having
Sung,
to.
though, that's
to
when they
hide
would
this
treat
shit
him
anymore.
as they would any other S-rank hunter. So, Sung would request to meet Chairman Go, which for any other person would have been denied instantly. Like, even the most prominent ministers of government had to wait at least a week before they could talk to him. This, however, was Sung Jinu, and based on what he had just accomplished, it was more than likely the chairman was dying to talk to him. One of the association hunters would call the chairman just to confirm, then proceed to inform Sung that he was at the hospital monitoring the situation with Cha. So, if we switch over to what was happening there, the doctor we saw alongside Chairman Go before was now checking up on Cha to make sure she was okay. As bad as things looked on TV, he was shocked to see she had recovered perfectly.
Can I say, I feel like they did her dirty. They did her terrible. I'm not, like, the animation for this episode wasn't bad. It was like decent animation. You could tell that they were like saving up for the next fight, which would have been Sung versus Beru. But the animation spiked the minute Beru got behind
Now
Cha.
checking up on Cha to make sure she was okay. As bad as
You cannot tell me that. The moment this happened, I felt like it went from a 7, like a decent 7, to a nice 8 or a nice low 9 or a decent 9, just so they could watch us fold her like a book. Like, he turns her into like an arrow body. Like, you could string here to here, get an arrow, pull it back. I mean, she became the bow and the
things
arrow,
looked
let's
on
be
TV,
honest.
He was
But
shocked to see she had recovered
still.
perfectly. Where before she had a poor complexion due
Folded.
to crazy hemorrhaging, now she seemed just fine. It was a stark contrast to what he was expecting. Now, while the chairman did know how it was Cha turned out this way, that was information he decided to withhold. Reason being that Sung's power wasn't something he would willingly spread like that.
Nope.
No. Instead, he decided to say it was the work of the 2 A-rank healers he had at the helipad. That being the case, so far everyone that knew about the true nature of Sung's abilities also knew to keep it a secret. It was then that the doctor would bring up
Out
Sung
of
for a
genuine
different
just
reason,
fear for
revealing
him.
how his mother was a patient at their hospital. This much the chairman knew already, so he immediately thought the doctor was gonna say she finally succumbed to her eternal sleep disease. What he said instead, though, was the exact opposite.
Nah, she fine.
He would explain to the chairman that Sung's mother actually woke up from it. The chairman's doctor wasn't in the know at first, but when the raid happened and Sung appeared on screen, a lot of the higher-ups who did started bringing it up again. The chairman would then hear about it from him, and that's when he would start piecing together an answer to the question that was plaguing him earlier. You see, it was once he heard this awakening happened only 5 days ago that now the chairman finally understood why Sung refused to participate in the raid. Back when he was watching, he couldn't quite piece it together, but knowing this and the fact his dad went missing in a gate almost a decade ago, it made sense why Sung wouldn't want to leave his mother to participate in the most dangerous raid Korea's faced ever. It was two massive reasons the chairman couldn't help but feel careless for not recognizing sooner. In fact, it actually made him appreciate what Sung did for them even more now. He had shown once again just how rare of a person he was. It was then that
He was
an
willing to
association
step out.
employee would inform the chairman about Min's mother, specifically how they couldn't get into contact with her. It was an expected response considering how she'd learned of her son's death through the TV. Not only that, but she had also called the association herself to confirm
Yikes.
whether it was true or not. So, Min's mother was already well aware of her son's tragic fate, and
'Cause I
she
think the
was now
feed cut
prepping
off
for
by
a
then.
funeral that wouldn't even have his body. If you remember from what I said last video, I know the anime shows the S-ranks extracting with it, but in the novel they couldn't since it was too dangerous. Min's body was still at the island lost in the ant tunnels. It's for this reason the chairman decided to go see her in person, but not before meeting with Sung first.
I hope she didn't have to see her
Normally, Min's
child get
mom
used
would've
like a
been the
muppet.
priority, but when a person like Sung says he's trying to get in contact, the chairman knew he better make the arrangements. Now, for Sung, who was waiting for the chairman's arrival, he was being treated far differently from the last time he was here. Where before the employees didn't really know him, now they were treating him like royalty. Even the chairman himself expressed more consideration than usual because at the moment Sung was the person who deserved respect the most.
We knew you could kick
So,
our ass, but now we
first,
know
the
to what
chairman would
degree
inform
you can
Sung
kick
he
our
knew
ass.
What happened in the tunnel, followed by a statement saying he knew how he got there too. Only the former point was accurate though, since for the latter, Chairman Go assumed it was explained via Kaisel. After seeing Sung arrive on the back of Kaisel here, the chairman just assumed that's how he got to Jeju there. Sung saw no need to reveal yet another part of his ability, so rather than correct the chairman for being mistaken, he simply nodded his head since that to him would make flying around on Kaisel a whole lot easier. Now the people would know the dragon flying in the sky belonged to him. As for why Sung wanted to talk to the chairman himself, well, that was to simply inform him that every ant on the island was dead now. He was essentially giving the chairman the green light to proceed with whatever operations came next. This was news the chairman was only shocked by for a little bit, since when he remembered how Sung had hundreds of summons to fight for him, the thought of clearing the island didn't seem so impossible anymore. He figured them combing the island would result in its extermination a lot faster than anticipated. So, this is how the chairman knew he could send a team in, and that's how he managed to retrieve Min's body for the funeral. Before, the loss of Min's body was a tragedy that weighed heavily on him, but now that he knew Min's body was salvageable, words couldn't describe how grateful he was. This brings us now to what I would have considered an iconic scene, since it really hammers home the impact Sung had on the country. You see, it was after the meeting that the chairman would offer Sung a ride home with one of the association cars. To Sung, this was just another typical display of gratitude, but what the chairman intended for it was something far greater. I mean, he was well aware Sung could easily fly home on Kaisel or even run there faster, but in the process that would ignore one of the most important aspects of being a top-ranked hunter. It would ignore the people
Media.
who've come to adore him.
PR.
What people might I be talking about?
The
Well,
bitches.
before Sung had arrived, barely anyone was at the association, but in the time it took for them to finish their conversation, a huge crowd had gathered, leaving no openings at all. Every single person had come solely for him. It wasn't just reporters or members of the press either, but also regular people too, all wanting to glimpse the person who saved their country. There was one single headline which suggested the shadowy dragon at the association was Sung's, and that was all it took for the news of his location to spread like wildfire. It was enough of a rumor to bring droves
most
of people wanting to see
BuzzFeed
whether what the
title I've ever
article supposed
seen.
was true or not. It was when Sung saw just how many people were there for him that
5G
all sorts
Dragon?
of emotions welled up inside him. It was the first time he'd experienced anything like this. And though Sung didn't fully understand it at the moment, the chairman helped him by explaining how this was
Kaiba
what
come
their
to
country was
life?
looking
Question
for.
mark? Question
You
mark?
see, as the only country on Earth to lose part of their land to monsters, what Korea needed now more than ever was a victory. For 2 years, their people had been enduring endless humiliation from across the globe. Combine that with the fact Jeju Island wasn't raidable without the help of others, and what you get is a population filled with doubt in their own country's capabilities. Now, they weren't necessarily wrong for thinking that, but that perception did a complete 180
They
when
did
Sung
get
showed up.
mollywopped time and
With
time
the
again.
mighty Japanese retreating and their own hunters on the brink of losing, Sung swooped in to dissuade the country's feelings of powerlessness. He alone poured courage back into those who were watching. So, in a way, he was exactly what the country was looking for when they needed it. He was a hero that those lucky enough to witness on TV now wanted to see in person. So, though Chairman Go knew Sung could easily get home just by flying, he advised against it since he knew better than anyone the people needed to see their hero.
You need
It
to
was
work the
advice that
crowd,
would lead
my
to a
guy.
scene very
Smile
reminiscent
and
from this one
wave.
in Batman vs Superman.
Tell him what's up.
Sung would exit the building to a
Autograph
crowd
a
in
few
awe, and
faces,
not a single
kiss a
person
couple
would proceed
babies.
to say anything. They would simply stare in silence, taking in the hero in front of them. Wu and the other agents would then clear a path for Sung, all with the exception of one single old man. It was the grandpa you may recognize from this scene here. An old man wanting to bear witness to their son's avenger. Here he was right in front of Sung, tears streaming down his face as he expressed gratitude. He was thanking Sung for finally granting his son a proper rest. Sung would respond by saying it was simply what had to be done, then proceed to the car where the crowd would follow. It was while leaving that everywhere he looked, people's heads would lower out of respect for him.
Yeah, Shane.
They were greetings he knew were filled with genuine appreciation. It was by the
Watching
time
some
Sung could
extended
see the crowd
content
no
for solo
longer,
leveling, you know?
That's when he'd realize how fast his
Having a
heart
nice
was
chill
beating.
scream.
He was finally coming to
Hey,
terms with
thank
what
you, thank
exactly he
you.
accomplished.
Glad you can join. Glad you
So,
could stop
where
by.
Before he was reluctant to parade himself in public like that, now he was kinda glad he did. To him, every gaze was a proper reward for a job well done. It
He's
was once
reaping the
reality
fruits of his
came
aura
crashing back
farming, you
down
know?
That Sung would remember the state he left his mom in. As it turns out, he had actually just straight up broke their
All the
TV.
posing,
It was
glaring,
also his mom wouldn't find out he was a hunter yet.
general rizzing.
So, checking his phone
ant
would
beating.
reveal 13 missed calls from home, followed by a crazy amount of discourse about him online. With what was essentially his public debut now complete, people were expressing their thoughts on it endlessly. They were discussions exactly like the ones you'd expect to find in the weekly episode reviews on Reddit. One such topic was one you'd see in almost every post, since it was a debate that begged the ultimate question of how strong he was. Some suggested as strong as
National?
the national level, while others called them crazy for even thinking that. Naturally, there was criticism as well, since just like in the anime, many blamed him for the death of Min. For a while, no reason was given as to why Sun
Was Ming
showed up
the
late,
only
but eventually the association
S-rank
did
healer?
post an article about it. They simply mentioned how
'Cause I don't
Sun was
think-
kept behind due to inexperience.
No, it
As a
was him and the
hunter who
other
was
girl.
only a couple weeks ago the E rank,
But they both
it
did, no?
made sense to call Sung a reserve member intended only for emergencies. This obviously wasn't the truth, but it was enough to at least convince the public. It was the best the chairman could do to ease the criticism pointed towards Sung. It also kept his true reasons away from the spotlight. This, however, turned all that criticism towards the association, since it perpetuated the idea that had they gauged Sung's abilities properly to begin with, then perhaps Min would be alive right now.
Mm-hmm.
So all the blame was shifted towards them. Yes, it may be at the expense of the association, but at
that's the
least now
least.
Sung was well on his way to becoming the most famous hunter in the country. No longer were people blaming him for slacking off, and now they were instead focusing on his accomplishment. Fast forward now to Min's funeral, and while initially intended to be this small private ceremony, it ended up being public due to the sheer number of people that wanted to pay their respects to him. Countless people showed up to honor his sacrifice. Excitement grew when Sung showed up himself, but that wasn't something Sung thought to be very respectful. Normally, he wouldn't care that people were looking or talking about him, but now was neither the time nor place for it.
The
So,
disrespect.
in
This
order
is
to
a
bring things back
funeral.
to the solemn way it was, Sung would unleash the most minuscule portion of magical energy he could. It was an amount so tiny you couldn't even consider it a portion, but it was still more than enough to bring that mood back. Anyone yapping was now silent again. It was then that Min's mother would approach Sung herself, not to scold him like how everyone thought, but rather to thank him in person for what he did for her. You see, as the one who personally invited him to be here, she wanted to express her gratitude in person. Reason being that it was all because of Sung that Min's body could return back home to her. Had Sung not cleared the island as fast as he did, then there was a chance Min's body may have never been recovered. So, though Sung's reasons for killing the ants may not have been entirely that, ensuring Min could make it home was at least part of it. He didn't like the idea of his corpse rotting away forgotten in the darkness of the ant tunnels. This was a service Min's mother.
I don't know if this is twisted or not, but I feel like if I was Sung, because, you know, I get why he didn't keep Ming's shadow around. You know, he didn't want to taint this guy's reputation or look down on his contribution by forcing him to go back into war. But what if we keep the shadow, or we kept the shadow, yeah, we raised it to the rank where it's able to talk back. I think that's like the general rank. And then we just kind of gave it to his mom. I don't know if that's messed up or not. And I don't know what that says about me that I can't decide where I'd fall on that. Because at one point is you're looking at the ghost soul of your dead kid, and you know that they're not in heaven, you know they're not in hell, but you know that they're like trapped in this mortal coil and they'll always be with you. Maybe like release him once his mom and dad have died, and you know. But on the other hand, I feel like it would be kind of nice to know that they're still there and be able to like at least keep them around for them to like say final goodbyes. Because on the island, he was able to like just shoot the tiger guy like a "Ayo, it's been real" kind of look before he blipped out to the other side. But I feel like it would have been nice to like give his parents that, you know, even if he didn't show it to the world, like he wouldn't need to just like, hey, can I meet up with Ming's mom, you know, can I have like a very private room, and then just be like, hey, there's somebody who wants to meet you, ba 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 ba, arise, it's your boy, don't be scared, I know he's blue and ethereal, but he just wants to like say what the dealio is, you know, till like, ayo, shit's tight on the other side, check you when you reach. I don't know if that's like a messed up take or not, to flaunt the dead soul of a parent's child in front of their face, but that's what I would have done, and I would have reaped the consequences afterwards.
Would be eternally grateful for, since with his help she was able to see her son one last time. Now, it was by the time she was done saying what she wanted to say that now she would be shedding tears all over again. It was an emotional sight that would remind Sung of his own mom. He would envision her face overlapping with Min's mom's, leading to a lump in his throat that would choke him up a bit.
Trauma.
The expressions and emotions she was displaying now were far too similar to the ones his own mom had when their dad went missing. But just like how his dad sacrificed his life to save numerous people, so did Min to save his fellow hunters. So, while his fate was definitely tragic, it was helpful to know Min's sacrifice wasn't in vain.
Kermit was right.
Now,
It really ain't
if
easy
you're
being
wondering
green.
what the final numbers for the raid were, there were 4,801 hunters called to arms, along with 727 awakened civilians who volunteered alongside them. 64 of them ended up dying, while 32 civilians were lost in the aftermath. So, while this was
Wait,
certainly
how are they
a
lost?
pretty
What the
high
fuck?
number, it
I
was
thought we got
actually
them
the
all.
least amount of 801
Oh.
hunters called. So did Min to save his fellow hunters. So, while his fate was definitely tragic, it was helpful to know Min's sacrifice wasn't in vain. Now, if you're wondering what the final numbers for the raid were, there were 4,801 hunters called to arms, along with 727 awakened civilians who volunteered alongside them. 64 of them ended up dying, while 32 civilians were lost in the aftermath. So, while this was certainly a pretty high number, it was actually the least amount of casualties out of all the raids. let's wrap things up with Sung finally back at home, where we find out the discussion with his mom went well. Though news of him being a hunter was certainly shocking, she didn't object to it, as that was what Sung expressed as being the profession he wanted to keep pursuing. Yes, she was worried given what happened to their dad, but so long as Sung didn't push himself too hard, then she was okay with it. That being the case, in the end his goal would be the same it always was:
Level up.
survival. So, given the biggest obstacle of permission was clear, nothing was stopping Sung from establishing his own guild now. He could finally monopolize high-rank dungeons and level up without worry. It was then that he'd remember the mystery item unveiled at level 100, which, if you blinked, then you probably missed it in the anime. I won't say any more than that, but I thought it cool that they decided to hint at it here. I'm sure you'll recognize this as a core component for the plot of Season 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for the season. I hope you enjoyed this series of cut content, and I hope to see you soon in some of my next videos. If you want to subscribe, then that'd be great too, since we're getting close to 700,000 now. Oh, and if you want to come hang out in the community Discord, I've been told that we're looking for new members. So the link to that will be down in the description. But anyway, until next time, ciao!
I cannot wait for season 3. Season 3 is all but confirmed. It has to. There's no way they're not going to do a season 3. But I feel like some of my favorite scenes will be within season 3. Like the little school mini arc, the whole things with the American hunters. Oh, it's gonna be. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for it to come out. I just need them to tell me when the release date is, and I'll wait. Hi, Mundo. Hi, buddy. Pre-stream, when I was setting everything up, Mundo was in the room, and I got the one sound every cat owner knows how to look out for. It's him, like, kind of hawking like he's gonna throw up. I don't know if he ate too fast or something, but I stood up like, Mundo, why would you choose this? Why would you choose the worst path to get in here? Bye. I stood up like a robot, military style, like a RoboCop, scanned the room to find the bastard, yoinked him up, and then quick walked him out of the room, because I was not going to have throw up in this room. There was no way. One hawk is all it needs for me to wake up like a sleeper agent and do what needs to be done. Damn. Damn. Honestly, are we gonna Monster Hunt today? Cause I'm kind of very in the mood to watch some Adventure Time video documentaries. Alright, I might just watch 2 of these. It might just be a simple watch party day. Bye, Mundo. Bye, Mundo. I love you, buddy. It might be just a watch party day.
There's something about tragic characters that are so much more compelling than the more fortunate ones, and Adventure Time is no stranger to having some of the most lonely and tragic characters to ever exist. The most obvious one that everyone points to is Ice King. Once a human,
If
with
anybody
goals and
tells you like
ambitions,
cartoons
he
are for
came across a
kids,
magic crown
you
that
carry them
transformed
to
him into
Adventure
a
Time.
completely
You
new
let them
being
sit
that
through the
had little
entirety
to
of
no
Adventure Time.
characteristics of his former self. Then we have Marceline, a half-human, half-demon who had to fend for herself.
It'll make you
and
look
was left
differently
alone
on that
twice.
hobo
One
down the
straight after
street. You never
Mushroom
know.
War, and a second when Simon left
It
her
teaches you
because he was
empathy.
beginning to lose himself to the crown. The thing is, these two characters are extremely tragic in their own way, but they are characters that get a happy/bittersweet ending. Marceline finds her happy ever after with Princess Bubblegum. Simon, although loses Betty after she becomes gold, is finally free from the prison of that ice crown and begins to live a normal life in the land of Ood. There's one character though that didn't exactly get a happy ending. A character that didn't ask to be born, asked to be cast aside in favor of the better version, asked to get lost in the pursuit of purpose. This character is none other than Fern the Human. So what is this grass-looking thing, and why does he end up looking like Finn later? Well, for those questions, we have to go back to the episode called Blade of Grass. In this episode, Finn and Jake go shopping for a new sword because Finn's old sword is broken.
But Finn, I'm gonna tell you something gently.
Okay, what is it, bro?
Have you got any f***ing glasses? I think you need them.
I'll just give the lowdown real quick. Finn and Jake got a sword from a dungeon their father made, and the sword is made of this demon's blood. This demon is summoned by Ice King by mistake, who takes the blood out of the sword, leaving behind a dud. All caught up? Good. Let's get back to the episode. So Finn and Jake find this shady grass-looking guy who gives Finn this grass sword. To put it bluntly, this sword is insane. It makes Virgil look like a toddler. Finn starts cutting things perfectly.
Yeah.
Demonically perfect.
And even starts flexing his sword skills without even trying. Both Finn and Jake look worried, and Finn puts it away for the night to get some sleep. He then has a strange dream. In it, Finn picks up the grass sword before it grows on his arm and eventually covers his entire body. And then his body completely disintegrates. This dream foreshadows a lot of the coming events in the show. It's strange though, because usually in Adventure Time, dreams that are supposed to become reality have this thing called the Cosmic Owl, who's one of the deities in the show. So whenever he appears, it means that the dream isn't just a dream. It's gonna come to pass in reality. In this case though, he didn't appear. I guess the dream is more metaphorical than literal, but Cosmic Owl dreams are shown as allegorical too. So honestly, I don't know, maybe the writers forgot to include him or something. Anyways, Finn wakes up to the grass sword trying to merge into his arm. He then manages to break free from it.
It's okay, you can't get every single one.
Says one of the funniest lines.
Worst $3 I ever spent.
The next morning, as expected, the sword shows back up at the house, and the pair decide to take it back to the guy who gave it to them, only to find out that he has disappeared. So after Finn disposes of some jobbers, the grass sword begins to attach to his arm tightly, and this time, there's nothing he can do to take it off. Eventually, they track down the grass wizard to this mountain and defeat him, but he refuses to lift the curse of the grass sword, and says that it's going to be a part of him forever. Finn looks dejected, but then he says,
You know what? I think I'm cool with that. Whoa.
So now that Finn's accepted it, he can control it, and he can summon it whenever he wants. And that's how Finn gets the grass sword.
Yeah, no, I would have done that immediately.
Just how much trauma and despair this thing is going to bring to him. We now arrive at the first two-parter of Season 6. Wake up and escape from the Citadel.
I
I
feel
won't
like
bore
if
you
the
with the
only-
details of this episode, but
If the only downside to it, or the only real curse of the sword, is that I can't take it off, but it like wraps up neatly in my arms, not even like it's trying to take me over, I would have just accepted. I wouldn't even have looked for the grass wizard. I would have just taken it and gone.
Finn finds out his biological dad is alive, and the pair need Prismo's help to get to him, because as it turns out, Finn's dad is in some place called the Citadel, a place for people who have committed cosmic crimes. Prismo is killed by the Lich, Finn meets his dad, turns out he's a douche, and tries to ditch his son. After
real
the pair
wad.
take care of the Lich by turning him into a baby using this healing substance, Finn attempts to keep his dad from leaving, which results in this. So the day comes when Finn finally loses his arm, something that has been foreshadowed for years on the show. The healing substance then lands on Finn's stub, which grows a flower. Pretty poetic. Oh yeah, real quick, I have to show you guys this highlight of Finn having a flower on his arm.
There's Princess Bubblegum!
Now we move on to the most weird Adventure Time episode, called Breezy. Long story short, it's an episode about puberty and also features this in a Cartoon
horny
Network show.
Where are you going?
That's
Yeah,
it.
no.
We made up.
What? What? I didn't wait infinity for a dip in the kiddie pool. We're taking this to the deep end. Don't be scared, Finn. Lumpy's on
LSP
lifeguard
needs to go to
duty.
jail. LSP needs to horrendously go to jail.
Anyways, a bee falls in love with Finn's arm while Finn tries to feel something.
The
because he's
silence, the
depressed.
trauma,
Let's
the
skip to
sexual
Finn hears the bee
assault.
singing and has this strange vision. He sees Princess Bubblegum and she's holding this cool looking sword. And then Finn's arm grows into a tree and explodes. And what do you know? He gets his arm back. Now this sword that Princess Bubblegum holds has zero explanation in the episode, but its inclusion is major foreshadowing for one of the best episodes in the entire show. That episode was Is That You? To explain this episode in detail is going to make my head explode, so I'm going to try my best, but also skip some things. Finn and Jake perform some ritual, which results in Jake getting transported to some other dimension. Jake eventually finds this cozy ass bed and he falls asleep in it, which results in Prismo being resurrected. Finn, however, is still stuck in the real world, where he sees Jake recreating a bunch of events from past episodes. But every time he interrupts him, Jake explodes. Eventually, Jake recreates the ritual ritual, and Finn follows it this time, which teleports him to that cube dimension. Finn tries to follow Jake, but then past Prismo stops him, resulting in a cool paradox. So this entire episode is Prismo trying to resurrect himself, a plan he made in the past in case he ever dies. The plan is to have one of these alternate Jakes in the time loop to continue sleeping, which results in Prismo coming back to life. Present Jake agrees to let one of his alternate selves become a vessel for Prismo, but there's one thing they need to solve for. Since it's a time loop, Finn had previously woken up Jake, so Prismo tells Finn to stop himself from waking him up this time. But he also says that he has no idea what's going to happen to the other Finn when he stops him. Finn yells, "Plan B!" An alternate Finn becomes a sword. Not just any sword though, it's the sword we saw Princess Bubblegum
Don't you
holding
hate
in
it when your
Breezy.
homie
This is
comes
some
out,
Attack on
surprises
Titan
you
level
so hard you
foreshadowing,
become
and
a
believe
sword?
Me, this only gets better. If how I explained it didn't make any sense, that's because time travel isn't.
Blasting bitchaloid.
Go watch the episode.
I'm telling you, timey-wimey bullshit. Whenever time travel is involved, just go,
Let's
okay.
now skip 2 seasons to the episode
Go
called
school, yes,
I Am a
sir.
Sword. So Finn's got this new sword he calls Finn Sword, and it's shown that he's extremely skilled with it. Not that skilled though.
Lag!
After he loses it, he begins to see visions of some bandit who found it and is now slaying innocent lives with it. It's also revealed that Finn's sword can talk, but he just chooses not to. It's only when he realizes what the bandit is doing that he breaks his vow of silence. The pair track her down, and Finn tells Jake not to step in by any means, because she's made it personal. A cool thing is that with the new arm that he got in Breezy, in a life and death situation, the grass sword comes out of that little thorn sticking out of his palm. After gaining the upper hand, Finn makes one fatal mistake. He stabs the orb of the Finn sword with the grass blade, and it stops glowing, leaving Finn completely traumatized. Jake takes him home, and the episode ends with us seeing the Finn sword glowing green. This brings us to the episode Reboot, another 2-parter. Again, I won't go too much into detail about this episode because then we'll be here all day. It's actually just one of the funniest episodes in the show. Just watch this clip. Long story short, Susan gets zapped by some electric eel and it triggers some chip in her head and she starts going batshit crazy on everyone and everything. Let's skip ahead to the end of the episode.
No
As a
bird
last
was
ditch
safe.
effort to stop Susan, the grass sword comes out to try and stop her, but it then merges with the broken Finn sword, resulting in this. Believe me, 13-year-old me was gobsmacked.
That's incredible. I'm absolutely astonished.
The next episode is titled Two Swords. So this grass-looking dude is claiming to be Finn, which prompts Finn and Jake to bully him.
Show us! Show us!
Grass Finn does act like Finn. He tries to protect Susan and even recognizes Jake to be his brother. He just sounds and looks completely different. Later, he goes back to the treehouse and begins looking at photos and remembers all of the events from them. But then, he remembers exactly what happened after the Finn sword was struck by the grass sword. We get to see the events from the POV of the Finn inside the sword. When it was broken by the grass sword, the little grass pieces fell, and then we see this.
What the freak is club step? I just unlocked club step. Is this the
Okay,
thing I've
alright,
unlocked? This face
okay.
here. That's a demon, isn't it?
So this grass demon starts spraying inside of the sword with green webs, and Finn asks him what he is.
It's just not a good time.
A curse? An emissary from beyond?
And eventually he wraps Finn in a green cocoon.
Just let
The
it
grass
happen, my
demon
guy.
explains that he wants out, and so does Finn, to which he responds,
Okay, I get it. When we get out of here, let me do the talking.
Back in the present, our Finn asks PB if that grass Finn is an evil version of himself, but she simply responds,
He's not even from a different timeline. Finn, he's just you.
Bebo then calls Finn and says that the grass guy is breaking everything, and Jake goes full protective dad mode.
Grass guy's scaring BMO! Let's get him!
Finn then brings out a Finn cake, which only Finn can eat, and Grass Finn comes back to his senses and apologizes. Our Finn says to Jake that Grass Finn is gonna be fine and just needs some time to figure some stuff out. The
alternate
episode
use
ends
with
us
just
seeing
pure
Grass
violence
Finn
never
sleeping,
ends well.
with the grass demon softly
Granted, being
mumbling
too
a
kind
tune.
also never ends well. You gotta find that middle ground connection.
To me, it sounds like he's singing The World is Waiting for the Sunrise by Les Paul and Mary Ford. He also was mumbling this same melody when he first appeared in The Sword. To be honest, I can't come up with an exact theory as to why he's singing this, other than to come off as off-putting and eerie. The song itself is about new beginnings, so maybe it just represents the new beginning of the Grass Demon. Seems a bit too on the nose, so let me know any theories and interpretations you have regarding this. Also, leave a like and subscribe while you're down there. Let's move to Do No Harm. In this episode, Finn tries to become a doctor, and even says to himself that it feels right doing it, foreshadowing the reveal that his biological mother is a doctor. Jake hesitantly hangs out with Grass Finn and tries to do Finn stuff with him. Grass Finn and Jake head out to that grass mountain of the Grass Wizard, since that's a place where he can fight evil. We can see that he's a lot more gruesome and brutal than regular Finn is. Grass Finn wants answers, legs but the Grass Wizard merely tells him that he created him because he could, and there's nothing more to it. Jake and Grass Finn return, where he begins to realize that he isn't Finn. I mean, it makes sense given that he basically did the fusion dance with the Grass Demon and can't even eat anything. So he tells them to call him
Fern, the human.
The next we see Fern is in the first episode of the second miniseries, titled Islands. Finn wants to go to the island far away from Ooh to see if he can get some answers about humans, and asks Fern to take care of Ooh while he's away, and Fern agrees. When Finn and Jake return though, the third miniseries titled Elements begins. While they were away exploring the islands, Ooh had been mutated into 4 different elements, changing almost everyone and everything. Fern. One of the victims was Fern, who turned into Candy. In the episode Whispers, Fern explains how he feels useless because he was unable to protect Ooh while Finn was gone. He's constantly comparing himself to regular Finn and feels as though he's always second to him. Sweet Pea, the baby that the Lich was transformed into, comes running and explains to the two Finns that he's having nightmares. Long story short, an alternate dimension Lich is trying to convert Sweet Pea back into the OG Lich. Finn goes after him and tells Fern to protect Sweet Pea, but he fails to do so. Sweet Pea defeats the Lich and saves Finn, and Fern looks disappointed at that fact. As they walk home, Fern puts himself even more down, stating,
I don't get it. Why isn't it working out being myself? It doesn't matter how hard I try. I'll always just be in the shadow of the real Finn. Unless
you kill him.
I could become the only Finn.
And that's when we see that he can shapeshift to look exactly like the regular Finn. It's this scene that makes us realize that Fern's ultimate pursuit of purpose has taken a dark turn. This leads us to the episode 3 Buckets, riffing off the episode title 2 Swords. This episode was truly insane, and it was when I realized just how far this show has come from the first season. So the two Finns head off to a cave that Fern found. As expected though, he traps Finn inside and tells him that it's his turn to be the only Finn. It's interesting to see the surroundings where Finn is trapped. It looks eerily similar to how the Finn sword on the inside looked. It represents the isolation that Finn sword must have felt, and wants our Finn to experience that same feeling. Finn then finds out that the robot arm that PB made for him has several settings, including one that can help him escape. Then this happens. So the two battle it out, and we can see that the Grass Demon side of Fern is starting to take over him. When it seems like Fern is about to end the battle, Finn says this.
It doesn't have to end like this. Today doesn't have to have this kind of finality.
Fatality.
I'm astounded. I'm bewildered.
Straight into the vault. Immediately into the vault. No
and this feeling only gets worse when
no
Finn returns
trial.
home.
Hey, boys. Y'all have fun out there?
Wait, what happened?
I know that look. You just killed someone.
In the past, we've seen Finn slay a bunch of demons and monsters, but this is the first time we see him kill someone he was close to, and you can see by his expression that he's completely traumatized. The episode ends with Uncle Gumbald, one of the final antagonists of the show, picking up Fern's remains. In the episode The Wild Hunt, Finn is having trouble fighting and killing anything, even if they are evil. He just keeps seeing Fern and can't bring himself to finish off anything. He's completely riddled with guilt. Eventually, Huntress Wizard, his will-they-won't-they girlfriend, puts herself in danger in hopes that Finn sees her as Fern to save her, and it works. The episode then ends with Uncle G saying that his banana monster was a setback, and that Finn will be no match for his next creation. And immediately, I felt like one of the Adventure Time writers must have loved the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, because this looks like a reference to the Green Goblin of the Ultimate Universe. The next episode, titled 17, showcases Finn's 17th birthday, when this mysterious Green Knight shows up and starts acting extremely unhinged.
Oh, nuh-uh.
The Green Knight and Finn try and outdo each other in different birthday games, resulting in a final confrontation, arm wrestling.
Only I had some kind of superhuman robot arm. Bam!
Finn tries his best and says,
It's my birthday!
And then it's revealed
It's my birthday too.
and Finn gets his ass tossed. Uncle G reveals himself to PB, which has its whole other backstory I won't get into in this video, but it's all building up to a war in the finale. Next episode we see Fern in is in Gumbaldia, where Finn tries to be diplomatic and talk to Uncle G in calling off the war. There he meets Fern again, resulting in this funny moment.
That lady has the Jake suit on just in case.
Lolly. She sounds kind of like Mom, yeah?
Hey, she was my mom too.
It's funny because she's voiced by the same voice actress, Maria Bamford. Finn reluctantly fights Fern, which results in this.
There's nothing you have that I don't.
Finn doesn't want to fight Fern and tells him that they're basically family. Fern isn't interested. Finally, we get into the finale, titled Come Along With Me. The first half of this episode focuses on a nightmare sequence that Finn deploys to stop all the fighting. Finn tries to relate to Fern in the nightmare, and we see glimpses of their repressed memories, traumatic things they have blocked out. Then we see the source of Fern's torment, the emissary from beyond. Finn forces the grass demon off, and it states,
Without me, he's got no body. So back off.
The two then take him out, and the two Finns relax and chill together. But unfortunately, the grass demon was right, and alternate Finn starts to slowly disintegrate.
I mean,
that's when we see the cosmic owl, and you know what that means? That this is all going to come to pass
better than
in
what
one way
Fern
or
was.
another. Let's fast forward to the end of the episode. When Golb eventually leaves, we see Fern one last time.
Hey, Finn,
man.
I'm not doing so good.
Fern tells Finn he wishes he could see the treehouse one more time, but what he doesn't know is that Golb destroyed it a few minutes prior. He then asks Finn,
That's okay.
Just bury
Promise to
me there.
plant me there.
and he leaves behind
Two
this
times
after
he had to.
disintegrating. The dream that Finn first experienced in Blade of Grass had also finally come to pass. Finn plants it in the
Two
destroyed
times you have to
treehouse,
watch
and it
yourself
grows,
die.
housing the original Finn sword. And that's the story of Fern the human. So that brings us to the question, what was Fern's true purpose? And what makes him the most tragic Adventure Time character? For one, it's established that Fern is just Finn. He's had all of Finn's past trauma and more because of the grass demon. What's worse is when you realize that Fern never got to meet his mom, since he stayed back in Oo when Finn left for the islands. And since Fern is basically Finn, that means he too has always wanted to find out where he came from. He just never got to. We can assume that Finn must have told Fern about her when he came back, but there isn't exact evidence of that. Just think about the way he was made to. He was forced to become a sword, then forced to become
Then
a puppet
forced
of
to
the
become
grass demon, and
possessed
then
by
forced
a
to become the
grass
Green
demon.
Knight. The guy was basically a slave his entire life after becoming a sword. Now previously, I said
Eren
that Fern's
Yeager would
ending
hate
wasn't
you.
exactly as bittersweet and hopeful as other characters, like Marceline and Ice King. Now it depends on who you ask, but I think his ending is great thematically, but ultimately still tragic. Throughout the show, we've had glimpses of Oo's future. We've seen Finn and Jake's treehouse, and it's grown high into the sky. Imagine, the first time we saw this was in season 5 seasons prior. We didn't have any answers or clues as to how it grew. I mean, we just assumed it would eventually, given that this takes place 1,000 years in the future. But no, it's not their treehouse, it's Fern. We see this in the finale when Shermie picks up the Finn sword, ushering in this feeling of a new beginning. It's sad what Fern becomes, but it fits in with the story of Finn. Shoko, one of Finn's past lives, dies in
Also
the same
died by
spot
the
the
tree.
treehouse eventually grows into, and Fern ends up becoming a new tree in the same spot. It's that parallel that makes me realize just how insane the foreshadowing
it was
of
a
Adventure
plant
Time
that
truly
bore
is. His story is very similar to Ice King,
sword
both in
fruit.
that they get cursed by magical entities and can't live without them, and in what they leave behind. Fern struggled to find purpose, and it took him to extremely dark and twisted places. I think his story shows that if you're actively trying to find purpose, it's gonna cripple you. If you're always in the pursuit of purpose, you'll never truly find it. Do you think that Fern ultimately found his purpose? Leave a
Nope.
comment down below on what you think. Perhaps Fern's purpose was to inspire new life and continue the legacy of adventure in the world of Adventure Time, as seen by Shermie and
feel
Beth
like
at
he
the end of the
died
show. Please leave a like while you're down
yearning
there,
for
and
something
check out my recent
greater
videos here.
and
To those of you who
accepting
aren't
that he'd
subscribed
never
around here,
find it.
please subscribe for a lot more content like this, and thanks for watching.
Just terrifying.
Lemongrab is one of the most overlooked characters in Adventure Time. Most simply discount him as one-dimensional comic relief, but his abusive relationship with his creator, his inhuman treatment, and his tragic de-evolution
I think we're gonna
into
call
something
it into this little mini
unrecognizable
stream. I'm
creative
definitely gonna
character
stream
is
again
anything
tomorrow.
but one-dimensional. A
I
character
also have a
so
photo shoot for
bizarre and
tomorrow. I'm not
devastating that he could only really
fully
exist
set
in the
on
world
if
of
I'm going to
Adventure
be streaming during. I want
Lemongrab
to,
first
you know.
appears in the episode Too Young. Princess Bubblegum lost some of her candy parts, and now
I want to stream throughout the entirety of the photo shoot, but that's probably gonna be on Instagram if anything. But I still haven't fully decided. I still need to go and decide what two outfits I'm going to be going with. And I have it in my head what I'm gonna be going with, but I was really hoping to get my hair done or at least get the sides trimmed before then, but it just didn't work out. I say it didn't work out, but in actuality, I was just running around doing other things and then completely forgot about it. So not that they got in the way, but I just got terrible memory. But this was nice. There are some other stuff I want to watch, like as a watch party situation. I might have to make like a playlist. A whole bunch of like, probably can watch some stuff from Overly Sarcastic. But I don't know. Actually, no. For certain, for sure, for 100%, the next stream is gonna be fleshing out the fairy shoot idea. The fairy shoot photo shoot. That's gonna be the main topic for next stream. And you can bet your sweet bippy on that. But yeah. Thanks for everybody who stopped by. Thanks for, everybody who stayed, everybody who messaged. I enjoyed it. I know it was a bit of a late one, so most people went to sleep. But, we got to build consistency somehow. Alright. So see you guys next time. Hope you have a good night and a good morning. Bye.